Good morning, y'all. This is Ned over Philippine Dreams. Michelle cannot make it today as she is sleeping. She has this job thing where she brings home the bacon and feeds me. But not to worry, she gave me some input on the topic on this video, so you'll be hearing that. We're not going to be talking about geckos today. We're not going to be talking about puppies, and we're not even going to be talking about turtles. There's no bonus footage this time. People have been asking us about relationships. What happens with relationships over here in the Philippines? How are they different from relationships in the West as to opposed how they occur here in the East? The information that I'm going to be relating to you is not only garnered from my own personal experiences, I'm not going to say which ones to protect our privacy, but it's also from talking to numerous other expats in the time that I've been here to get some sort of feeling and some sort of flow for how things work here. What we're going to be talking today is jealousy, and we're actually going to be splitting this into two videos. The first part is we're going to be talking about why it occurs. I was going to talk about how it manifests itself, the behaviors and all that stuff that occurs as a result of jealousy here in the Philippines. But if I did that, people might take it to the extreme, and we have to, when you're talking about something like this, when you're talking about a cultural aspect like jealousy, you got to keep things in context. You got to look at the perspective. You got to look at why it occurs, the reasons for it. Because a lot of times when it manifests itself, when jealousy manifests itself in the Philippines, it's going to be seen as kind of irrational. It's going to be seen as kind of extreme. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to be right. It is going to be rather irrational, and it is going to be rather extreme. But again, you have to keep the cultural and the social aspects in mind when looking at it. When you first come here, when you first get into a relationship here, your significant other, typically a Filipino if you're a guy, is going to exhibit jealousy-type behaviors. At first, you might be flattered. You might be like, ooh, it's been a long time since somebody got jealous over me. I must really be excessively guapo, as she claims. But over time, as it happens for the 10th, 15th, 20th, 100th, 300th time, you're going to start to think, this is a little out there. This is a little extreme. This could be a problem, and it can become a problem, especially as a Westerner coming with a Western perspective to the Philippines. You're going to see it as irrational. You're going to see it as sometimes delusional, sometimes paranoid, and you're going to start to see it as signs of mental instability. Because examples of extreme jealousy in the West, like Glenn Close and Fatal Attraction chasing after Mike Douglas with her steak knife, is seen as mental instability. Whereas here, sometimes it can be seen as terms of affection or part of the courting process or whatnot. But that's something we're going to talk about tomorrow. So let's talk about some of the reasons why it's going to occur. And again, I can tell you about jealousy, I can tell you how extreme it can get, I can tell you how irrational it is, but until you actually experience it here, you're not going to be able to fully appreciate it. If you've been here for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're Filipino or Filipina, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like me saying, Filipinos are so pretty, or the coral reefs here are so beautiful and amazing. Until you actually see it for yourself, you can't really fully appreciate it. So keep that in mind. But again, let's get to the reasons of why jealousy and extreme jealousy occurs here in the Philippines. So when we talk about some of the behaviors that can manifest as a result of it tomorrow, we can all have a better understanding of the context of why it occurs. First off, you got to realize that the Philippines was colonized initially by the Spanish, and I think they were here for 300 or 400 years. You'd think after all my reading and research into the topic, I'd know by now. They brought with them, the concept of machismo. They brought with them the concept of having mistresses, of having extramarital affairs. And actually in Tagalog, there's actually a term from it. It's actually called earring. That is the idea of having women on the side, mistresses, call them whatever you want. And it became a part of their culture. And again, it's carried on. When you really look at things and you start reading, the history of the Philippines and stuff, you're going to see that not too many things have changed over the generations and over a couple hundred years. There are a lot of things still in place that affect life here. So this concept of earring, having mistresses on the side, is a part of their culture. And they've seen it happen with their fathers. They've seen it happen with their grandfathers. They've seen it happen with uncles. They've seen it happen with their brothers having affairs on the side or whatnot. And they don't want that. They want a committed relationship. They want a long-term relationship. They see us as a commodity. They see foreigners as a commodity. They're looking for stability, and they're looking for financial security. So when you're a foreigner here in the Philippines, that's how you're perceived. So they want you. They don't want you having mistresses. They don't want having anything on the side. They want to be your girl. They want the 100% total commitment. And so they've seen this happen to the parents and to their grandparents and brothers or whatnot. So that's one aspect of it, the earring. It's actually a joke. There's like 5 stages of marriage in the Philippines. First there's the engagement ring, then there's the wedding ring, then there's the bow ring, then there's the suffering, then there's the earring, or something like that. So that's the way it works. They've also seen friends get pregnant, have relationships with other Filipinos or other foreigners, get pregnant, and then either the local Filipino leaves, goes to another island, or shirks his responsibilities or whatnot, or the other foreigner leaves and goes back to his home country and, is not economically or seemingly morally responsible for the child that is left behind. So they've seen that happen, they've experienced that, and they don't want that to happen to them either. They also see what they refer to as chick boys. Chick boys can be either Filipino or they can be foreigner. Chick boys are basically players. They're guys coming, here or in place, and they're, dating other girls, seeing other girls. They might be in a committed relationship, but they got other girlfriends on the side or whatnot. And again, this applies to both Filipinos and foreigners. And they don't want to, have a relationship with a chick boy. Again, they're looking for that long-term investment. They want something solid. They want something substantial. They're not looking for a chick boy. Again, I'm speaking in general terms. You got to keep that in mind. This doesn't apply to every Filipino. This doesn't apply to every Filipino. And it doesn't apply to every foreigner. We're just speaking in generally loose terms. So they've seen the foreigner chick boys come and go. Also, chismes. Chismes is basically gossip. So you could be doing the right thing. You could be 100% devoted to your girl. You could be, having her up on that pedestal and treating her like a queen and a princess and whatnot. And, have your heart in the right place. But what can happen is one of her friends or one of her friend's friends or one of her friend's friends' cousin's friends can see you, I don't know, talking to a sales girl. And she might smile at you. Or she might give you the receipt, and something might be misconstrued, like she's passing you a phone number or something. The chismes, and however they want to interpret that, can get passed from person to person to person, and it'll finally get to your girl. And by the time it gets to your girl, it's like that game telephone. It can be totally blown out of proportion. She'll confront you with that, or she'll go totally tampo, or she'll go berserk. And again, when you're addressing the emotional state of jealousy, it brings out the worst in people. We don't think rationally. So when you're trying to talk rationally, coherently to somebody who's in an emotionally jealous state, it's extremely difficult. You can actually see your words like bing, 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 bouncing off the person. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Chismes. They also realize that there are millions of other pretty Filipinas in the Philippines, literally, like growing in trees and stuff. Actually, there's one down the boulevard that does hang out in a tree. That's another topic, though. They know that there's other pretty Filipinas. They know that this is a reason there's foreigner chick boys and Filipino chick boys. And they also realize that these other girls are pretty aggressive. You'll hear this stereotype that Filipinos are shy and whatnot, and Filipinos are shy. That isn't always the case, especially when you're out with your girl. I notice this when I'm out with Michelle. I get a lot more attention from other Filipinas than I do when I'm out by myself. I don't know if it's an aspect of the crab mentality that they have here on the Philippines, but it can get pretty catty. They'll notice each other looking at each other, and the claws will come out and the fangs will be bared and whatnot. Because again, you're seen as a commodity. You're seen as a source of stability in a relationship, and you're seen as an economic security. And they want that in their lives. They want something good for their family. They want their family, their kids to grow up well. So your girl's going to see that these other girls are being giving you all this attention and stuff. And again, it's an aspect of the culture here. Finally, and This one's pretty cool. Telenovelas. Telenovelas are Filipino soap operas. Filipinos love soap operas. They love drama. And Filipino soap operas, even if you don't understand Tagalog, you can actually get the gist of what's going on. And a lot of it has to do with relationships. A lot of it has to do with earring, with infidelity, with drama and relationships and all that stuff. There's a lot of crying. And not only do they love Filipino dramas, but they love Korean dramas, which they dub into Tagalog. And again, a lot of it's the same. So they've grown up. Since they've been little kids, they've been watching telenovelas, they've been seeing the drama, they've been seeing, the infidelity and all this stuff. And everything that's surrounding them, they're also seeing it. Again, the social aspect. They've seen, the Spanish heritage, the earring, the machismo, the teen pregnancies, the chick boys, the cheesiness that goes around, and the drama. So all of that is what fuels this rampant jealousy and this excessive jealousy that you're going to see here, that you're going to experience here. And those aren't all the reasons. I'm sure there's a lot more. I've only been here for 9 months. I'm only scratching the surface. So if you're Filipino or you're Filipina or you're a foreigner who's been here for a long time, please add to the discussion by putting some stuff down in the comments section and adding to this, because this is an important thing. Again, when you first get here, it's going to be kind of flattering. It's going to be boosting your ego. Ooh, wow, I must be awesome. But you have to keep it in context. You have to keep it in perspective. You got to understand where it's coming from. You also got to realize that this can really hurt a relationship. If you, as a couple, cannot work through this, if you cannot effectively communicate and compromise and show your commitment and everything, it's going to cause serious problems. Tomorrow, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about some of the ways that jealousy manifests itself in behaviors. And some of these behaviors are pretty extreme. And a lot of times, these behaviors that are manifested through this jealousy, there'd be grounds for like instant termination in the West. It'd be like, all right, honey, see you later, move on. But again, when you are in a good relationship and you think you've got a good girl, you've got to really put the effort into understanding this and keeping things in perspective and looking at the context. Again, if you want to add to the discussion, please put it down in the comments section. Try to stay not positive, because we need to show both sides. I want this to be as objective as possible. But let's try to steer clear of the personal threats and offering to fly out to Missouri to punch somebody in the nose because you disagree with them. That's troll stuff we don't really need. We're trying to be productive here. So that's about it. If you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button. We also have our site over at myphilippinedreams.com, where you can see a blog entry, which I get into a little more detail on this, and Michelle's going to be writing some stuff on it too. That's about it for now. Tomorrow we'll get into the crazy behaviors and what you can do about them. Until then, this is Ned over at Philippine Dreams, and take care.